Socialism forward, none of capitalism down. Thank you so much to appreciate this opportunity we're giving Bautolo to greet the party Central Committee leadership as led by our General Secretary, Comrade Soli Mapaila, and to acknowledge and recognize the party office bearers that are present, to greet also COSATU leadership that is here today with us, and to also recognize also the party leadership from provinces, districts, and to acknowledge our leadership of the Young Communist League that is present here, led of course by our first DNS, Comrade who's here also part of our office bearers. To begin by saying 40 years of COSATU and 8 years of WUFD has been characterized, of course, by a number of challenges, victories, and of course, new developments. For us, as the Young Communist League, we look at these years as 40 years of consolidated worker struggles, especially for COSATU. It reminds us on the early age of our formation as the Young Communist League in the 20s, when the young people were playing a key and instrumental role, especially in the mining strikes that would have taken place in those years of the 20s, subsequent to that, in the 40s as well. It is indeed for us a stunning reminder of our joint and collective struggles in consolidating the work that we do. And we do so also, as we do so, we would like to recollect that Marx once postulated that trade unions are schools of solidarity and socialism. And it is for that reason, collectively, we have been able to register certain victories that we are proud of, and which most of them are mainly entailed in our legislation, such as the Labor Relations Act in our country. And it is important for us to mark this day because it is a reminder of the linkage between the contradictions between the class, national, and the gender struggles that are interlinked. And as Comrade Joslo would have said also, that should you want to know which one must be achieved first between the national struggle as well as the class struggle, he then said that we will get a wrong answer, primarily because we've got to understand the class content of the national struggle as well as the national content of this class struggle. So we like to also highlight, as we speak about the interconnectedness of these struggles, especially on the question of the gender struggles. The party has put a red card on the gender-based violence. The party is propagating for female reproduction rights. And we've got to also acknowledge that in terms of the International Labour Organization, the recent convention in 2019 that the International Labour Organization has adopted to say that we've got to have working places that are free from sexual harassment and gender-based violence. We do want to remind COSATU that we've got to, as we commemorate these 40 years to ensure that we are the ones who ensure that this convention finds resonance in our working places in South Africa. Whilst we are at it, we are observing as a Young Communist League that the International Labour Organization is indicating that in South Africa, currently, the unionized workers are below 26% and it is declining. This is informed by a number of challenges which we are seeing, part of which loss of public confidence or worker confidence on our unions, given a number of sins of incumbency, which we must acknowledge ourselves, internal factors. We must also look at the external factors, such as now the institutions such as clientele and others representing workers, which some of those factors inform this decline. We want to also, as we are about to learn about all, as we see the indication that as Young Communist League, we are in full support of COSATU, including its COSATU young worker structure, and we are in full support. We do understand its mission as that of mobilizing for the union, trade union movement, and also ensuring that there are campaigns that are attractive, especially noting that the workplaces now are becoming younger with young people. But what is stressing us as the Young Communist League the most is the framework of retrenchment, which is discriminative in nature and ageist, fundamentally because of a last in, first out policy that is enforced in South Africa. We see this as discriminatory to young people, more so when we see a pandemic of youth unemployment. So we are recommitting ourselves also, whilst we challenge COSATU as well as COSATU young workers, that we've got to be side by side in waging some of these struggles together in ensuring that we propel the struggle for socialism forward. And lastly, as we conclude, we want to say, in line with the summation of this CC political report, that we challenge COSATU to say COSATU must not succumb to intimidation, especially by some in our movement, which seeks to isolate it and distance it from the South African Communist Party, which is the vanguard of the working class. So the following task we have identified, that COSATU itself must relieve itself together with ourselves from the strategic ambiguity in terms of how we look at the stage of our national democratic revolution. We've got to unite the principal motive forces, being the working class, for the battles ahead which we have observed, and take collective responsibility for the national democratic revolution. For we have said, if uninterrupted, it is the most close and direct route to socialism. And in so saying, we'd like to thank you. Amandla! Awethu!